So professionally starting the lesson. So yeah, so today's class is about gravity and how it can assist us in our yoga practice. And I'm feeling it in the yoga practice, and like our bodies, when they're nicely stacked up, you can feel really light in standing. And I guess like if you've got hunched shoulders and your head, your shoulders are hurting, your neck's hurting, you've been sitting around over a desk and things like that, you're going against gravity, and that's the reason that your muscles hurt. They're doing a lot to try and keep your head up, for example. So if you've got to, if you be, we all do it, I think there's going to be a lot of people with neck ache as they get older, the ones that, we tend to sit, play with, got my phone, like, you're slumping, your neck hurts, and you wonder why. It's, your muscles are doing an awful lot to keep your head up. So I want you just to notice and sense how gravity can assist us in our practice. So without further ado, let's lay down and make a little start. So yeah, get yourself nice and comfortable and close your eyes. As you're laying into the floor and you rest down, just take these first few moments to notice gravity and how it affects your body. And for me, it's an interesting thing, gravity. Is it pushing you down or is it pulling you down? Pulling you down. And I think well, I know it pulls you to the earth, but you sometimes might feel it as a push. The more you lay down, you might start to feel the muscles relaxing over your bones and starting to feel that your hips are being gently pressed into the earth. But it's actually this soft attraction of the body into the floor. So, you're in your own house, you can make as many noises as you like, take a really good deep breath and big deep sigh out and just let gravity start to do its magic on the body. As we lay on the floor, just turning your head very gently from side to side and allow your head just to roll. You don't have to turn very far, don't go to the edge of the turn. Maybe just imagine saying no very, very gently to something. Just get that sense of the head being carried by the floor and, using as little effort as you can to turn the head. Really getting a sense of that feeling of gravity on the body, head just resting and rolling into the floor. And the more you turn your head, maybe bring your head down to one side and just notice that your chin comes close to your shoulder. And as you bring your head back to gaze towards the ceiling, it moves away from the chest. And as you bring your head towards the other shoulder, again, it closes into the shoulder. So your chin's making a little arc. And you could maybe even think about this as a really nice little pressure massage for the back of the head. And then let's just let the nose fall back to centre and then take your awareness then down the spine. So checking in on gravity on the chest, how we feel and sense the chest and the ribs and the spine behind the chest, resting into the floor. And how we sense and feel the hips resting into the floor. And the thigh bones and the calves and the heels and how they rest into the floor. Checking on your breath. Each time you breathe, your breath is going against gravity, that expansion. And as you breathe out, you're going to feel the breath falling softly back towards the spine. So it might feel effortful to breathe in as that breath expands against gravity. And again, as you breathe out, effortless, let the navel fall softly in towards the spine. So let's do some movement, shall we? So let's bring our feet in towards the bottom. So standing your feet up. And just become aware of your tailbone right at the edge of your pelvis, just above your butt cheeks. And I want you just to lean it forwards into the floor and just allow your lower back to rise. So just, you can even picture that just beneath your lower back, a little ladybird or a little mouse or a little bird of some description could run underneath your back. And then where your spine meets the pelvis, press it into the floor and feel how the lower back drops into the floor. And then again, roll forwards to your tailbone. And then again, press and sink your lower back into the floor. So it's, roll the pelvis. Sometimes I feel almost like picturing your pelvis is like a little rolling pin and you're just flattening out some pastry in a very random way. You really want some weird skin-based pelvis pastry. So sink in, just roll in. You might notice that there's a movement not just at your pelvis, but actually in your chin. Your chin might be nodding. So just check in on the chin nodding. And what you're feeling there is your spine being pulled through the body and pushed up through the body. And then checking in on your feet. Do you feel that your feet are moving? So even though it's your pelvis that I've asked you to move, you might feel now that your feet are really involved in this. So I want you just to now begin to pull your heels towards your bottom without moving your feet, and you'll feel your pelvis again tip forwards. And again, without moving your feet, push your feet forwards and press your lower back into the floor. Again, putting your heels in towards your bottom and pushing your feet forwards. Again, just gently roll and tip and feel that pelvis undulating and the spine undulating. And then just let go for a second, and then keeping your focus on your feet. Just now picture that on your knees you've got two little delicate, again, ladybirds, pigeons, whatever animal you love and don't want to interrupt. And you're just going to begin to press now with your right foot into the floor. Try not to let the knees tip. And you should feel as you push it into the floor, your pelvis begin to tip to the left. And then allow yourself to sink back into the floor, and then pushing softly down and forward with your left knee. And again, think about keeping that knee upright so as not to distract whatever little animal you've got on the knee. And again, sink yourself down and then push with your right. And then push with your left. So you should feel your pelvis tipping from left to right. So it's a very gentle twist, really, for that lowest part of the spine. So you might feel the chest is relatively still, a little bit of movement, but a lot of movement in that lower back, so it's twisting, but keeping the knees upright. And just checking your feet, if your feet are together, it might feel nice just to widen them out, and you might have a little bit more control of the pelvis as well. And then take a settle in the middle. So we're going to then bring those two movements together, rolling the tailbone forwards, sinking down with the right hip towards the centre and to your left hip, so beginning to circle. Just see how much of this you can do using just the feet. You might be thinking, what's this to do with gravity? But what you're feeling here is the forces from the ground pushing up through the body. And see that as a connection to gravity, the forces of the ground pushing up through the body. And again, imagining that you've got these little animals resting on your knees. You don't want to disrupt them, so your knees shouldn't be kind of swaying from side to side. And then we could maybe even reverse that movement, go in that complete opposite direction. You might hear my son humming outside. Okay, so just let go of that movement and then bring your knees in towards your belly and just see how you feel about placing your hands on the knees. And look across to your left. So take now your left knee out to the side and just let it go heavy, 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 heavy. And just see if you can roll to your left side and just keep your head on the floor, close your knees like a little book. And then your right knee lifted up towards the ceiling and just keep rolling it back towards the floor on your right, and you'll roll back onto your hips And then let the right knee become heavy. And you're going to roll to the right and just let your head roll with it. And then lift the left knee up. Roll it all the way across. Come back to the pelvis, close the knees, and again sink in across to the right side. I think I'm disappearing off the camera. I'm also just going to adjust this light so I'm a bit more visible. You'd think I'd learn about wearing dark clothing by now. Well, you can see that very little effort is needed. If you just let that knee just feel really heavy, the pelvis rolls, and you can almost follow the movement through the belly, through the ribs, into the neck. So again, as you lift the knee, the pelvis moves, the lower back moves, the ribs move, the head moves. Just follow the movement all the way up the spine, that little kinetic movement. And then we're going to ride back to centre. So again, just let your hips relax, taking your hands this time towards your ankles. You might kind of keep your hands where they are. You might think, do you know what, I can take my hands to a big toe, I can. So if you can take your hands to the big toe, take your hands to the big toe. And then what we're going to do is just something a little bit different. So taking your left knee out to the left, straighten the leg, and again, allow yourself to roll. And then to come back to centre, you're going to bring that left foot in towards your groin. You roll back onto your back. And then taking your right leg out to the right, allow yourself to roll. And then to come back to centre, again, bend the knee, bring the foot back in, come back to your back, and then take the left foot out to the left and allow yourself to roll. And bringing the left foot back in, and again, just let your legs roll you from side to side. So again, it's that weight of the body is changing how the body moves. And you would be right in thinking that if you come back to centre and raise your right leg and bring it across to the left, you would roll to the left and you would be right. And then to come back to centre, bring the right foot back in, feel the weight of the leg bring you to centre, and then we can straighten the left leg and bring it across to the right, and again, roll to the right. And then bend the knee, and as you bend that knee again, as you bring the heel to centre, you should find yourself rolling to the back, and again, let gravity roll you from side to side. All I can see is little legs waving around on the camera. Okay, so let's take a seat in the middle, so bring yourself to centre, extend your legs up, place your hands under your pelvis, push your feet forwards, wait, and consider, oh, I'm going to headbutt this wall. So there, come back to visibility now. Been a big discussion online about what teachers need to wear so they can be visible, and for some reason I thought, I'll just wear dark clothing and expect you to be able to see me. So next week I'll be wearing shorts and vests, I think. Anyway, so let's place ourselves on all fours this time. Tucking myself in. So yeah, place your hands down on the floor underneath your shoulders, and just firstly bring your shoulders forward to your fingertips. And in doing that, you're going to feel effort through your chest and your shoulders. And then pushing your hands forwards and sink your bottom down to your heels. So again, you're feeling the effect of gravity, that if you bring your shoulders directly over the hands, it's really effortless to stay there. But if you bring the shoulders forwards, again, you're feeling the effort. You can feel the tummy becoming engaged. And then pushing your hands forwards. Again, we've got something to rest on, so it feels nice and easy. Again, we're feeling that gravity going down into the heels. And again, just bringing yourself back up, going beyond the fingertips with the chest. And again, pushing yourself sort of softly back. So just using those hands, again, to feel work going into the tummy, and also you're kind of stretching out those wrists as well. So what you might find is some of us might maybe prefer to go on to fists, maybe, if that feels a little bit better for wrists. You might even be doing this on fingertips. Ooh, that's an interesting one. You might even prefer to turn your hands out to do this. That might feel a little better. If your wrists don't move very well, having your hands turned out might feel a little bit better on those wrists, because we haven't all got the same flexibility in our wrists. And then let's come down onto our heels. So as we know, to make this movement a lot nicer, you might be padding out the fronts of your shins by now, you might be sitting on a block, it might be you're just going to have your bottom away from your heels. And let's just sink ourselves down towards child. So you might find child is better served if you've got your arms folded and your head, ouch, I've just put myself in one of my scars with my watch, head resting on your hand. But if you're happy to sink down fully into child, just let yourself drop softly back. I'm going to spin around. And we're going to then begin to use gravity to come up to all fours. So push down with your shins into the floor and just do it a little bit, just enough that you can feel your bottom begin to come away from your heels. And then again, settle down and just let yourself sink back down. And then again, pushing down into shins, feeling your bottom begin to lift. And again, sink back down. And then one more time, pushing down. And just close your eyes and feel your spine beginning to be pushed up through the body as you allow yourself to come to all fours. And then again, take yourself back down. We're going to push those hands forwards, let the bottom go back down to heels. And then two more times, again, push with the shins, relax the neck, feel the spine pushed up through you, feel the head floating forwards as you come to all fours. And then again, push your hands forwards and sink yourself back down. Final one, we're going to float back up, and then this time, as we come to all fours, start to drop your weight into your hands, keep the knees on the floor, drop the toes onto the floor, and we're coming into our kneeling plank. So you can feel that tummy is engaged because these knees are no longer under the hips, so we're using our tummy to support us. You can lift the knees and push back, really pushing into the ground to come into our full plank. And then drop the knees, push your hands forwards, and again soften down. Push with the shins floating up, so beginning to come into your favourite type of plank. So I'm a bit lean to myself, I like a full plank. Inhale and dropping the knees down. Exhale, sinking back to the floor. Inhale, pushing with the shins, floating up. Exhale, finding your plank. Inhale and exhale. So we're going to repeat that, but then we're going to go into up dog. So pushing forwards and coming again through your plank. Drop your knees down, and then just for a moment, hang in your half plank. And what we're going to do now is just imagine that someone's just going to pull the plug out of your belly button, and you're going to let your hips begin to relax. And feel your spine again floating up, and just press into your fingers, feeling those hips surrender into the floor. And then inhale, push with the hands. Feel that movement from the bones down to the hips and soften down. Pushing again through the shins, floating up again. Take your time to find your plank. Exhale. Inhale, relaxing the knees down. And exhale, take the hips towards the floor. Again, gently bend the elbows. So you want to feel here that your collarbones are broad, so draw the shoulders softly back. Inhale, push the hands forwards. Exhale, soften down. Inhale, push up again, and this is our final one of these little up dogs. So again, we're going to rest in plank, drop the knees, and then relax down, and then bend your elbows slowly, slowly, slowly as you can. Pelvis to the floor, control the movement of the arms, nestle your nose into the floor. So we're now prone, and I want you to now bring your hands away from the body and bring them onto your buttocks. And then see how we feel to use these muscles in the back. So we're going to lift our hearts up off the floor. Keep looking at the floor as you do this. So be tempted not to lift the gaze. It's much more difficult. So look down. Using those muscles, the back. We're fighting gravity here. Exhale, come down. Placing your hands back on the floor. Inhale, push the hands down, and exhale, round and soften back. 2 more times. Inhale, pushing up. Exhale in plank. Inhale the knee. Exhale the hips and bend the elbows, float down. Inhale on the floors, place the hands on the buttocks, and exhale, rise up. So you're pointing the toes. Coming back down. Inhale, press with the hands. Keep pushing hands forward and sinking down. You'll be pleased to know there is one more to do. Floating up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, hands to the floor. Exhale. Inhale, push the hands forwards. And exhale, roll all the way back and have a little rest, just particularly for the wrists, really, at this point. So, let's go on to, I've had a massive plaster on my head and my hair keeps sticking to the sticky of this plaster. So we're going to take ourselves into a little fold, into like a little crouchy thing first. So bring your feet underneath your hips and you've got your knees bent. And I do like a fold with these knees bent, and it's not because it makes it easier, but because you can again let your weight be carried by your thighs. So you've got the weight of the body resting through the thighs, resting through the shins and into the feet. Think about your head being nice and loose at the head. Just let the head be nice and loose. Elbows are loose, arms are loose. So if you tend to find that there is zero connection between your belly and your thighs, that your legs are straight and you're rounded back, again, bend the knees, let that support happen. And what we're going to do now is just the tiniest of crouches. So I know crouch doesn't suit everybody, so we're not saying not go all the way down to the floor. So just enough that you can feel it, bringing your bottom towards your heels. So some of us might not go very low, some of us might go all the way down. We're going to keep the belly on the thighs and then push. Take yourself back to your fold. So again, you're bending the knees and you're taking your bottom again towards your heels. So again, some of us it might just be, we're going to come so far down, feel those thighs burning. Some of us might go all the way into crouch. And then again, push, keep your belly on your thighs and allow yourself to tip forward. Just play with that bending and straightening of the legs. I'm just going to adjust the camera. I'm not actually avoiding this, I quite like this movement. It's a really good leg strengthener is this little thing. And actually, if you're really happy to go all the way down to crouch, maybe explore going in just so far of it, maybe coming halfway and pausing and feeling those legs, and then again pushing away. So again, what you're feeling here is gravity. That bend in the knee is making it difficult for you to be here. So these bones have got such a good job to do. They support us very strongly. And when those bones aren't there, the muscles are working harder. Anyway, so hang out in fold. And then lift and spread your toes. So really create some space between your toes. And then press your feet down into the floor. I want you to press those big toes down. Tuck the tailbone under and slowly, slowly, slowly roll up to standing. I think I do need to adjust this camera one more time. You never know, I might start if I've got this massive microphone of mine. I'm just going to sit here with the microphone on and everything. Anyway, so I want to do a sun salutation. Speaking of, we do need a sun salutation. It's gone rubbish again, hasn't it, this weather? So, squeaky floorboard. So, looking down to your feet. We've learned most of the sun salutation, I think, in that little sequence, haven't we? So we're going to look down to feet, Relax your arms, bend your knees. So just let your legs again support the body. And then if you can picture from your head to the base of your ribs, round that part of the spine, so you're nice and droopy, like me when it rains. And then we're going to push down with the feet and just close your eyes a second, push with your feet and straighten your legs, and mentally follow the sensations of the body to and where you feel it stops. So again, bend the knees, push into the feet, feel the legs begin to straighten. Just notice that the body is beginning to gently uncurl. Just do it a few times and then we can start to maybe uncurl more. So the way we're going to do that is to let your hips push, tip backwards, and then pull the navel in and lengthen all the way up to the neck. And if it feels comfortable, we can have those hands behind us. We could sweep the hands towards the space behind us, and then your tailbone. Imagine that you've got a big fox tail and when someone's just pulling it back, and that tail is going to bring yourself back over your heels, the spine's going to start bringing your hands to heart. Take your knees into your mind, bend them and squeeze the heels. We're going to come all the way down. So coming through crouch, belly meets the thighs, and then soften forwards into fold. Inhaling, placing your hands on the shins. As you straighten the arms, your spine begins to lengthen forwards. And look to the floor, so never look forward, so that neck is nicely lengthened. You might be happy to dangle the fingertips to the floor. And then let's send those elbows again and soften back down into full fold. Take your left foot and place it all the way behind you on the floor, and then drop the left knee down. And then we're going to feel the effects of that ground force pressing into your right foot. The body begins to rise, floating the hands up. Let's bring those hands down to the floor. Place your left hand down on the floor now and bring your right hand to your right thigh. And again, as you press into that thigh, you should feel your chest begin to turn. Look up over your right shoulder, and we can bring the arm up and spread that wing. Turning the body towards the floor. Take your right foot back, and we can rest in our in our kneeling plank, or lift the knees and push back. Now drop the knees, and again, remembering everything we did before, relax the hips. Then the elbows come down to the floor. Bring the hands to the buttocks, float up. And then coming back down, placing your hands on the floor. We could choose to go into child, or we could choose to keep pushing back, lifting the knees and rolling back into downward facing dog. And we're going to stay here for 5 breaths, whichever you've chosen to do. So dogs to me are not a prerequisite of yoga. Look into your hands. Let's find our way to get that left foot forward. So it might be you're going to drop your right knee, step it forward. It might be you've got a good swing on you and it comes between the hands. Then drop that right knee to the floor. Use that force of the floor, push with your left foot, sweeping up. And then exhaling, hands down to the floor. Place your right hand down this time. Left hand to left thigh. Press and turn, looking over the shoulder. And again, we can raise the left hand. Exhale, turning towards the floor. Use your left foot now. Press it into the floor. Allow that right foot to slide in and take you forward. Inhale, hands to the shins, straighten up to half fold. It might be having to walk quite high up. It might be that you can let those fingertips meet the floor. And then exhale, soften into full fold. Use the toes, press in, tuck the tailbone and uncurl fully to standing. Pelvis moves to tip back, roll up through the length of the spine. Tailbone moves back, and again, exhale. We're going to bend those knees again, so coming through crouch. Belly to thighs and soften down. Inhale, hands to shins or fingertips to floor. Exhale, coming down to full fold. Stepping back with your right foot all the way behind you, lower the right knee. And then use your left foot to press and rise up. Exhale, hands to the floor. So your right hand finds the floor this time. So we're going to turn. So this time maybe use your left hand like a clock hand. Arc it up, let it turn the chest, and maybe lift your right knee and push back. Hand comes to the floor. Step your left foot back, and again come into your favourite style of plank. Relaxing your hips, bending your elbows. Take yourself down to the floor. Hands to buttocks, floating up. Exhale back to the floor, and again place your hands down, and if you want, come back into child. In fact, I'm going to come into child. If you want to go into child, go into child, but if you want to go into dog, go into dog. 5 breaths, whatever you've chosen to do. So let's find ourselves coming back to the front. So we're going to take the right foot between the hands. Press with the right foot to feel yourself floating up. And again, coming down, placing your left hand on the floor beside your right foot. Arc the hand to the ceiling, turning into twist. And again, we can lift the left knee for a really long. Hands come to the floor. Press with your right foot, slowly bring the left foot under the body and fold. Inhale, arms straighten or fingertips to floor. So again, you want to create a nice little L shape. Exhale, bending the elbows, feeling the effects of gravity on the spine. Tailbone tucks under, curling up to standing. Pelvis tilts backwards, spine lifts. Bringing your hands to heart. Oh, really warm. So I want to now do a bit of a sun salutation B because I want to use it to link. And I'm going to be really naughty in this, in that when we come from plank, you can either come down the way we've been doing, or we can go through. I won't say chaturanga because I'm not really a fan of chaturanga. If you do too many of it, you can ruin your shoulders. But basically, a bit of a press up to come down to the floor, and then you adjust yourself into cobra. So that's the plan. So standing at the front of your mat, I've not got a mat because this teaching in this room, everything just gets really dark. So I've got loads of mats, but I'm just not using one. I have an invisible mat in my mind. So standing towards the front of your mat, looking at your feet, and lift up your toes to start with. So we just spread them out. So again, you're going to feel gravity on the toes because you're working against them, and then drop down your little toe, the next, and then place that big toe down. So you're going to really feel your footprint. Slightly squeezing your heels together, and again, this is going to start to send messages to your hips that we're going to use them. It also helps your knees track. So I want to now keep this whole part of the body, just think about it as one unit from your head to your tailbone. And just practice bending your knees without disturbing. In fact, if you were to place your hand on your head, you don't want to feel your head tipping forwards or anything like that, or just maybe have your hand on your tailbone, hand on your head, and bend your knees, and just, you don't want to feel this part of the body kind of change shape or shorten. And then when you're kind of happy about taking your hands away, so we just feel like a policeman, no. So bending your knees and keeping the spine stacked over the pelvis. And then we can just begin to settle into our chair. So keeping those toes spread, squeezing those heels, knees tracking over toes. And then we can then begin to make this more difficult. So we're going to tilt the pelvis forward this time, keeping that sense of length of the spine, so we don't want the spine to move. So we've got to course it around the tummy. Bringing the hands to heart, or we can bring the hands up and away. So this is going to be more difficult because the heart has more work to do. Bend the knees a little more, slowly come down, bringing the hands to the floor and soften into fold. Inhaling, fingertips to the shins or to the floor. Exhaling back into our fold. Walk yourself back this time into plank. So again, we're coming into our favourite type of plank. So again, this could be knees down, it might be hands on the floor, you might be on your elbows. And like I say, you can either come down in the way we've been doing, or bend the elbows and take, again, feel gravity on the body as you drop to the floor. And then flatten the toes. Slide your hands onto your buttocks and again, rise up. Exhale, coming to the floor. Hands down by your side. Push, coming back up to either all fours or to child or into downward facing dog. So wherever you are now, look to your right hand. We want that right foot to go by the right hand. So if you're in child, come up to all fours and step it through. But if you're on the dog, raise your right leg, swing it through, place it down. And then get your right knee over your ankle and press. Feel the force of the ground coming up through the body. Coming to standing. Oh, there. I think she's turning to Chatsworth. She's arrived. I could see that lovely little picture you've got behind you. So here we are. Pelvis is upright. Knee over toe. And we can again feel gravity on the body. So if we drop our left heel into the floor, the bones are lined up, it feels a little bit easier. Lifting that left heel is just taking away that support. Bending the left knee makes it more difficult. Those bones not lined up, we are using those muscles against gravity. So as we come into this, pelvis is stacked. Hips, ribs are stacked over the pelvis. Floating the hands up towards the sky or keep them at heart centre. Look down to your right knee. Can you see it? So if your knee's disappeared, your toes disappeared, bring it back and again squeeze that heel slightly in so we can feel the toe. See the toe, sorry. Taking your hands to heart, we're going to use this right foot. We're going to end up headbutting this right here. Push in and step your left foot around your right shin. So I'm just going to spin around now so you can see potentially. Can't see my feet. I'm getting into the dark corner. Okay, so we can either fall over is what we could do. We could cross the legs quite a lot and bend the knee because we're going to go into like a single-legged chair, or you might be happy to place the left foot on the right thigh. Once you're feeling where you need to be, falling over, bend your right knee. So we're taking a very small seat. So it's like you're sitting with your leg crossed. You're staying here for 5 breaths. Push with that right leg to straighten and then step your left foot out, but keep your weight in your right leg. Now, so those toes on that right and that left foot are just kind of touching, they are there and connected, but you shouldn't be like landing in it. And then bend your right knee again. And if you wish, you can take the toes of your left foot off the floor. Taking the left foot behind, we can just maybe adjust and bring the foot to the floor, taking those kicks and blocks, well done me. And so we're going to move towards our warrior 3. So I'm just going to turn myself around again. So warrior 3 is like human seesaw. You want to feel yourself pivoting around that leg. So your right leg again is slightly bent, feeling the weight into the toes. And I'm just going to do an easier one, so like not going into full one, just so if you feel that it's not your greatest of poses, you don't have to go for it, but you're trying to create a line between the head and the big toe. Sorry, I'm wobbling, so I'm facing this wall, which is completely matte and better if you can see some things. I'm just going to spin around. Stepping back, bringing your left foot to the floor. Take a look down towards your right big toe. Place your hands on your thigh and walk your hand down towards the ankle. So it might be that your ankle is the furthest you want to go. It might be that your fingertips can find the floor. You might have your arms straight. Explore bending those elbows. And again, noticing what gravity does to the body. Sinks you towards the floor. And then explore this right foot in front of you. Bend the knee and straighten the leg. And you're going to feel your hips moving forward and moving back. You might feel your left heel moving, it might be lifting, so you can keep that left heel in the floor. Sinking down. Moving back towards your plank. So step your right foot back And again, moving back towards your plank. So again, it might be bringing your elbows down, it might be bringing your knees down. So again, explore coming down maybe the way we've been doing previously, or again, bending your elbows and slowly, slowly into the floor. Bring your toes down, hands to the buttocks, floating up. And then exhale, pressing your hands into floor. And again, coming back and having a good rest in child's pose, or coming up into downward facing dog, or maybe just hanging out in child. It's on all fours. It's up to you. So now let's take this left foot forwards by the left hand. So if you're in the dog, swing it up, swing it through. If you're on all fours, step it through and then bend your left knee. Press down into the floor, feel that press come up the body, pelvis begins to stack, spine begins to stack. And again, drop your right heel into the floor to start with. So again, we feel that right foot is rooted. Got those bones doing some nice work. Pelvis is upright, ribs are upright. But then let these muscles begin to work. Bending the knee, the muscles are working against gravity, just keep us standing. Knee going towards the floor, and again, your left big toe should be visible. So if your knee's over the toes, bring it back. Hands moving towards the sky. Squeezing that left heel slightly to centre. Use your left foot now to press, stepping yourself forward. So crossing again, your right foot over your left. Again, you might go for a full-on cross, as though you need a wee. I don't know if this is what you do, you need a wee, crossing your legs. And bending your knees. So again, I'm just going to do the cross-legged version, just in case you feel that you have to go into the ankle to shin one. So I'm just going to adjust and go to ankle to thigh as well. So we've got those two options. Taking your right foot forward, step it out again to the right, keep that left knee bent, so keeping the weight in that left leg, really using this leg today. 5 breaths, again, that toe just touching the floor, or see how you feel about lifting it away from the floor. Stepping the foot back again, moving towards our warrior 3. So again, think about doing the human seesaw, pivoting around that left leg. So just make sure that left leg isn't locked out. We've got that little bit of bend behind the knee, hands down by your side, pivoting towards your little T shape. Stepping your right foot back, looking towards your left big toe, walking your hands down towards your shins. And again, it might be you've got lovely straight arms, you've come halfway down or some of the way down. Explore bending the elbows, explore relaxing the neck. Your hands might reach the floor. Look at your feet, so your feet, just see how it feels to turn your back heel out and then your back heel away, how that affects that sensation in the body. So I prefer having this with both feet facing forwards, like I'm striding. But it might suit some of us to have the toes turned out a little. And then explore again, bending that left knee and then straightening the left knee, just seeing how that affects the gravity on the back heel. And then let's step the right foot forward, bending both knees, let the belly meet the thighs. And then bringing those hands by our hips, bring them forwards, press up to standing. Bring your hands to heart. You can see I've missed a fold out, but we're going to forget about that. Come to the floor, happily, possibly, doing a little dance. I feel like my heating's on, but it's not. I'm just generally melting. Right, so let's do some grounded stuff. Wow. Are our legs all right? I've got for the next. I've got for them. That made zero difference. Oh, that's better that way. So the next thing I was going to do was again using gravity to take us into lunges, snakes, not really, and pigeons and stuff. So let's get on the floor and stuff. Let me bring this light a little bit closer. Whoops, daisy. Oh, these lights are a nightmare. You buy a lot of lights, I've got the biggest bulbs in there, but they just don't seem bright enough in this room. Anyway, so hands to floor, and then take your right foot forwards between your hands. In fact, yeah, let's do something with that. Before we go there, we're going to just go into cat-cow to start with. So take a really big deep exhale, let your belly sink, tailbone lift, and just let your gaze come forward. And then lead with your tailbone, tuck it towards your heels, feeling as you do that it's going to feel very nice to drop your head and come into your cat pose. And then lifting your tailbone away, feel that movement travel up the spine, let your gaze come forward. And then again, lead with your tailbone, tuck it down, and just feel like it's going to be nice to drop your head. Lifting your tailbone as you do that, take your right foot back and lift the foot. And you just want to feel that this left hip and left knee are stacked. And then, as you look down to the floor, tuck your tailbone, bring the foot through and step it by your left hand. Ha ha ha. And then, you've got your hands on the floor, haven't you? And actually, coming from this position, all of us will have our knee beneath our hip. So I want you to now explore taking your left knee back a little bit. And just feel as you do that you're starting to create a bit of a line between the knee, the hip and the ribs. It's not going to be a perfect line or anything like that. We're not talking mathematics, but you're going to feel those hips beginning to relax towards the floor. And so whether or not we've got really long shins, you might find it difficult to have your hands on the floor. Or like if you've got really massive boobs. I've got neither of these. I've actually got really long arms. So you can bring your hands inwards towards, I'll spin around, there you go. So you can bring your hands from here and have them in. That might help you kind of bring your hands to the floor. So it might also help you just maybe to widen your foot out a little bit, maybe you can turn your foot outwards. Let's see, yeah, towards like 1 o'clock or something. So coming into whatever's going to suit you, I prefer this way on. And then let's use a bit of the ground force again, so this gravity sensation thing. So I want you to now think about pulling your right heel towards your knee without moving it. Pull the heel under your body and just feel how your right knee goes over the toes and your hips come forwards. And then push that right foot. Feel as you push the right foot away from you, you can walk yourself back and bring your bottom towards that back heel. And then, so some of us might not go all the way back, and that's perfectly fine. Then use your ball of your right foot, press it to the floor, feel how it brings the knee, and then you can walk forward and again sink your heel down. And then push and walk yourself back. And pull yourself forward. So imagine sneaking up on someone and you don't want to disturb them. So that little animal, whatever it was that was on your knee, just in front of you, you don't want to disturb it. You can sneak up so you can, I don't know, tickle it or give it some food. I don't know why I'm obsessed with animals today. It's just the nature really, just being kind and inquisitive of the movement. And it might be you think, do you know what, I can hang out in one of these, and it might favour, it depends on your body really, what's going on. You might think I'm going to stay in my little splits position, and it might hurt your toes, so you can always maybe drop those toes down and take a really good seat on your heel. It might be you're going to grab a block and shove it under your bottom and hang out in a kind of splits, but supported so you're not hurting your toes or your knees. It might be that you think, I'm not doing splits, I'm going to come the other way. And so you can hang out the other way with these hands under your shoulders. And again, just letting those hips relax the floor. You can even maybe soften those toes onto the floor behind you if you're in this place. And just take a really, really good few breaths. So whichever place you're in, we're going to move towards pigeon, so you're going to have to come towards your lunge. Or it might be, I mean, I did actually do a lesson today with physical people in the garden, and one lady just came from all fours and approached it from all fours. But the big thing is really we're going to get the right knee behind your right wrist. So knee behind the wrist, right foot towards your towards your left thigh. I'm just going to spin around so you can see if you've never done a pigeon before. I think most of you have. And then dropping into pigeon. I know some of us don't do pigeon in this way. Some of us actually think this is horrendous. It's really bad for your joints. Depends what's been going on in your body. You might choose to just ignore this pigeon for a while and go onto your back and plug in this way. So again, this is a nice pigeon for some of us. So I've got that right ankle crossed onto the left knee. To be fair, the only difference between that pigeon and the one this way is that it's the leg stretch thing. So settle into whichever pigeon you feel comfortable in. If you're on your back, you can roll around a little bit and explore bringing the knee in. But if you're on your front, you can maybe change the angles of this. So you're going to check in on your lower back. Is it happy? If it isn't, we could maybe come onto elbows. Those hands, you might want to just have your hands lifted, your hands on the floor, because it's going to create a bigger line of extension down the front of these hips. It might feel really nice to be here. It might feel really nice. I don't think it is, because people look very confused at me to do, and I suggested bringing the left foot in towards you, placing the right hand on the floor in the middle of the mat, bringing your hand towards the foot and pulling it in. This I find really happy. Some people look really horrified. Please don't break yourself. And so you're going to be turning to your left. And so I'm quite happy to hook this foot into my elbow, which then means it's hand free to connect to another one. So you tie yourself in knots. I can see some grins. I am just joking about that. Okay, so take yourself back to face the floor. And we could add in one little thing now that is quite nice in my book, and that is a pandiculation. So this is something that I've been taught in somatics. And so if with the pandiculation, you're not stretching, you're actually tightening and releasing the muscles. So, I feel like I'm neglecting people on the back, so you might be happy to be neglected actually. But if you're on your front and we're going to practice towards this pandiculation, I want you to firstly press your left foot into the floor behind you. You're going to feel that leg tighten. And then if you could think about your pelvis and your head, like actually imagine you want to really look into your belly button. How would you do it? You'd try to pull your pelvis forwards, and then you would look down, and you're just pressing into your hand. So you're pressing into that left foot, you're squeezing your pelvis forwards, and you're looking down, and you're feeling tightening down this front line of your body. Your back's round slightly. And then slowly just begin to relax the hips towards the floor. Let go of that movement and just let your gaze come forward. So you might actually feel that you've settled a little bit deeper into your pigeon. And then we can just do it one more time. Inhale, press into your left foot, draw your pelvis forward, and again, imagine you really want to look into your belly button. It's the most fascinating thing you've ever seen. And then exhale, relax your hips, and again, settle forward. Now we're going to move out of this. So we're going to move on to a seated position. So if you're laying on your back, we're going to come to seated. So we're just going to roll onto our right thigh and swing your left foot around, moving into Ardha pose, half Lord of the Fishes. So if you come to seated and it's just very cockeyed, straighten out your right leg and have your left leg crossed over your right, and checking on your sit bones. Do you feel them on the floor? Are they tilted under? Do you need to grab a block and sit on it? So you're trying to get your pelvis upright. You're trying to feel that you've got your spine in a nice neutral stack position with your ribs over your hips. So find your centre stable. And then your left arm, we're going to arc it up. And as you bring it back, your chest is already turning. Bring those fingertips to the floor in behind you. So I don't never like the hand being placed on the fingertips, looking towards your left shoulder, and then bring your right hand across to your left knee and press, and just allow again your belly to begin to turn. So just feeling that spine stack, chest is turning on top of the spine. Just take your awareness into the left shoulder and take some really good breaths. So let's turn our gaze back to the front. Tip your knees underneath, placing your hands down. And yes, we have another leg. We haven't forgotten about it, so I'm just going to spin this way. So taking your left knee towards your left wrist. Left foot somewhere in front of your right thigh. So again, you want to feel that you're kind of creating a nice little triangle. And then walking the right. No, I've missed it. I did this earlier on. Come back up. Forget I just did that. Take your left foot and you've got it between your hands. Ha ha, I haven't forgotten. So we're coming into that lunge again. So again, starting just checking that your right knee, where it is, into your hip, and then walking it back. And starting to let yourself kind of drop into this front foot. So again, you're feeling that effect of gravity on your front foot. And then start to pull the left heel under the body. And again, feeling the knee go the toes, and then pushing the left foot away, feeling those hips. And again, begin to roll back. So again, it might be that you're going to keep those hips high, your fingertips on the floor. It might be that you've got like a Iyengar technique, you've got those hands on the blocks, and then use the forward foot press out to bring you forward. Again, imagine that sneaking up onto your little favourite animal, pushing your foot forward, sends you back, pressing the foot forward, brings you forward. Just play with that. And it might be, I didn't notice today, but when I asked you to have a little rest, one of the people didn't. She just kept doing it. So if you feel that this is feeling very therapeutic to keep moving, keep doing it. But there's going to be a place that you're going to settle, I'm sure. So find where you're going to settle. So I'm going to settle at the back this time. And again, I'm just going to untuck those toes because I prefer to do it that way. And I'm going to keep my hands up on the floor, but I'm going to bend the elbows and sink down a little bit more. I'm going to be really sneaky. I'm going to add in a full-on splits. If you really want to try full-on splits, I'm sure you don't, but you push that foot forward and send the other foot back. And see how you feel. I'm just going to come back to my half split. So we do go into pigeon next. So let's find ourselves back in our lunge. Or maybe bringing yourself back to all fours if that is where you want to be. Or taking yourself onto your back. So again, it would be left foot to right knee. And having a really, really good hook while you ignore everything I do next. So yeah, left knee to left wrist, left foot in front of the left thigh, and again walking your right thigh back. So again, find your next one in that pigeon. So you want to feel that your hips are even, and it could be that you're going to get a block and place it underneath your left buttock. That might just take some pressure off the knee. This is something you want to explore, but you don't really feel comfortable about going fully into it. Padding yourself up might make it more pleasurable. And again, checking in on the lower back. Does it want to be at an angle, or would it prefer to be down on the elbow? So again, these little things I'm doing now are all little options. So I'm just going to come back up onto into my pigeon, and then I'm bringing this right foot in, and then taking the left hand to have it just in front of me so it's in the centre, and then I'm turning my chest to the right and getting hold of the foot because I quite like that. And again, that little playful, if you can bring the foot to the elbow, that might feel quite good. It might feel horrendous, I don't know, so you can maybe have it further away. And then place yourself back into the original pigeon. And again, you might at this point just think, I ain't doing anything else, I'm coming down, and I'm just going to ignore you. But we have that pandiculation if you wish. So again, those hands will be on the floor, you've got that foot out behind you, you're pressing the foot into the floor. And again, imagine your belly button is absolutely fascinating. I don't know what's going on inside it, but you need to see it. So you're going to press into the hands, press into the foot, try to draw your pubic bone forwards towards your wrist. Look down, so you're tightening the tummy, and then exhale, slowly relax and let your hips come to the floor, looking forward. Inhale, push into the toes, tuck the tailbone down, look into the belly button. Exhale. And then Moving on to your left hip. Bringing your right foot around, crossing over. So again, I'm just going to spin to see you don't have to spin at all. And again, checking in, how is this? Is it wonky? Would it be better this way? Would it be better with a cushion underneath you? Feeling your pelvis is nicely stacked, your ribs are over your hips, that you're not forcing yourself to lift. So again, having that cushion underneath you might just give you a little bit more freedom in your lower back. And then right arm, arc it up, and as you bring it back, let it turn the chest. So we're already starting the twist. Fingertips find the floor. Left hand comes to the knee. Pressing gently and exhale, turning the gaze behind. So let's turn forwards, straighten the legs, and lie down, look at the time. Get yourself nice and comfy and close your eyes. Ouch, keep stabbing myself in. Oh. So as we lay on the floor, what are we feeling? Well, might be feeling relief that I've stopped moving you. But are we feeling again gravity on the bones? So, you know, feeling them arrange themselves softly into the floor. As you close your eyes, and you know, the eyes are one of the biggest distractions, obviously, of the body. You know, they stimulate the brain, they give you things to read, things to do. You know, you look around and you might find something that you forgot to do, and that's it, you're off on a little tangent. So having these eyes closed just allows you just to witness what's going on inside the body. And the ears are also a distraction, you know, listening to the sounds around your house. Maybe you could hear a sound outside my door or something like that. So just imagine that you could switch your ears off and you could just really begin to listen to your breath a little bit more. When your eyes and your ears are closed off, other things become a little bit more heightened. You might be more aware of the flavours in your mouth, the sensations of the mouth. Just checking on your jaw. Is it relaxed? Is it tight? And then as you breathe, you might notice things. You might notice that there's a scent in the room that you've never noticed before. It might be that you're really aware of the carpet. Each time you breathe, you're bringing scents into the body. So just notice what your sense of smell is telling you as you breathe. As you bring in this breath into the body, you might become more aware of the changes in pressure in the belly and on the floor, so your sense of touch connecting into everything. Just noticing how the clothes touch your skin as you breathe. Just maybe noticing any change in how you touch the ground as you breathe. Just noticing again the effects of gravity on the body as you rest into the floor. Through the ankles and shins, thighs, hips. How gravity affects the spine itself. The shoulders, the arms, the wrists, the fingers and the head. Checking in on the whole self, how it all connects together. Just remain in contact with your breath. From time to time, reflecting on the sensations in the nose, sensations in the belly, sensations in the chest. In the place that you're in, we're just going to take our arms softly towards the floor behind you, so slowly bring them back. And again, exhale them back, and again, back, feel the effects of gravity, different points on the arms, and then as you bring the arms back up, again, feel how easy it becomes the more they stack, and again, the more you want to drop them towards the floor. Do that a few times, raising arms up and back. And again, bringing the hands back down by your side. And then whenever you're ready, you can bring your knees in just for a really nice little hug. And let's come to seated in that cheeky way we did earlier on. So just bringing your hands onto your knees, widen your knees, roll your knees one way, let your knees come together. Place your hands into the floor and sit up. You didn't even see that, you probably didn't need to see it. And there you go. Namaste. I shall pause the recording.